I don't know. Everybody deals with anxiety in different ways,
Of course.
and everybody has anxiety for different reasons.
I get anxiety by talking about anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like it goes into my brain and then it starts, like I said, braining. Then you start thinking, why are we talking about this? Like it's like cancer. Like when you think about it, you think,
Mm.
oh shit, I'm gonna get it. It's like the same. It starts crippling me a little bit.
I I don't remember where I I saw a small um, I don't know, I will say sketch in a movie or in a TV show that refer to anxiety as the fear of for the future, and depression as the fear because of the past. But I don't think it's like that
No,
because, dude, I remember I was. It can be more
I
or
would say the
less,
more current from sometimes,
you know.
then the current stresses me and messes me up more than the think about the future because I don't really try to think too far ahead because my brain doesn't like.
Mm.
I hate when I plan something far ahead because it becomes big in my mind and then I keep thinking about it. So for the most part, I just try to. Even moving in 2 months
Yeah.
is every day I'm thinking about it makes my day longer. So after a while, thank God, it disappears a little bit in the vast, life that you have work and you have life and you have this and you have that. So it disappears. But like I said, what really triggers me for anxiety, it's not one particular thing in my case at least. And I think I try to always not show it. I had it when I sat outside with the other people. I had it often. I just don't show it. I become mute. I just, I hide away.
So now we know why Michael is like that.
Yeah. I hope that that's not because of that.
He inherited from you.
Well, I think like again, anxiety has many phases, many situations, many roles, many anything.
You know. I think that not the worst, but I won't say the worst in here because the worst was very bad. But I remember particularly one, like, I don't know, panic attack, anxiety attack, whatever it was. That was in New Year's Eve. I don't know, like 6 years ago. I was in Malaga, and I was in Calle Larios, and there was like a million people there. When I arrived,
Ah, yeah, people.
there wasn't that many people, but then I choose a spot with a couple of friends, and we stay there. And suddenly, I don't know, half an hour passed. Then we look around. Yeah, a million people. Like, what the fuck happened here? And suddenly, I felt trapped.
Yeah.
Even that I am not claustrophobic, but I got dizzy. I got nervous.
Yes.
I
Precisely.
start,
Precisely.
excuse me, and I went somewhere else
I think that's the
with
worst thing for me is
more
when
open
you have
space.
those situations. Is it's the fear of how the fuck am I gonna get home and in my comfort zone because you never know. Can I get a cab? Do I have to walk? Feel like this?
It's
About the
impossible to get a
people?
cab in
What if I
Malaga
get into a situation where you're no longer in control?
in New Year.
Yeah, yeah, precisely. You're no longer in control.
Yeah, I discussed that with a psychologist, and he told me that it was instinct, and he said that probably my brain noticed that if something weird happened, I don't know, a terrorist attack or somebody panic or whatever, and there is a human stampede, my brain was telling me that I was in a dangerous situation, and probably,
Stampede.
yeah,
Just imagine there is actually people who died like that.
yes, yes,
Stampedes
yes, a
when
lot of
because we
people,
are like animals in that way. Like when
yeah,
people lose their shit and they're like horde,
yeah,
they're just gonna step over everybody.
yeah.
Nobody gives a shit about anybody but themselves. I get it.
Then he told me, when you have anxiety, don't you feel like
Not
you,
always.
yeah, well,
Not always out like I'm out of breath or whatever.
I do sometimes. Well, I used to, and he said it's like when you are doing exercise and you get very tired. You need air. It's your mind is telling you that you need air.
I would
That's
say
what he
yes
told me, and I was fucking
when there's a lot
psychologist.
of people. Yes, of course. It's like when we sit in this office and there's too many people. I feel like the air is disappearing. It's kind of like slow choking, kind of sense of. I get it, but I would say in most cases it's just it builds up here for me,
No.
and then it's kind of like it starts trying to cramp me up, so I can't move. And that was probably the worst one I ever remember for me. Was I went to Miramar
Uh huh.
with my mom.
In
Went into the
Fuengirola.
Miramar, and it was like there was a heat wave, and then
Oh,
the doors open. Should have been good, but then you start realizing, oh fuck, there's people too.
oh, everybody was there because of the free air conditioner, of course.
Yeah, and then nope, I cramped up. I went to the back to my car, and I put myself on the back seat, and I had to call my mom, and I called a friend of mine that lived there then, and his dad, and came and took the car and drove me home.
Mm. I I don't know why. I remember particularly one. I was buying a cell phone. I know the reason I was having anxiety. I think was one of the worst anxiety. I was buying a cell phone that day. I think that you lent me money because I didn't have access to my bank account during those days. Didn't have my card, and I went to buy a cell phone, a shitty Xiaomi cell phone. And dude, I being on the street, I don't know what happened. Everything went dark. Give it to her.
Perfect timing.
Yeah. Everything went dark. I got dizzy as fuck. And I had to sit in the at the door of a building there. And I called Maria. I remember.
Oh
I
yeah,
called Maria.
I
That
can
shit calmed me
imagine.
down.
For me, I need to be in my comfort zone to calm down. I've had a bunch of them, like driving with my ex, also because stress is one of the triggers too. And being with her in that situation stressed me a lot. Being in a car and the arguing and shit like that. No. And then my outlet is aggression, of course, because that's the primal instinct is.
I, you gotta, I remember um, before continuing with the anxiety, I remember that last week when we went out, you told me, I'm containing it.
Huh?
You told me that you were containing the aggression. And I said, why? Why? Ah, you know what it triggers. What triggers it? And yeah, but why? Don't let it trigger it. Don't you think those aggressions might be part of the anxiety problem?
Alcohol always saves me from anxiety.
Oh,
It's the one thing that
alcohol
that
is
takes it away from me.
alcohol is like a carpet that you can put the trash on.
But then it also gives it back.
Yeah, of
Hangovers
course.
with the hangovers. Then I get it worse.
Yeah, that's the problem with alcohol.
I know, I know. I even remember the first time I had my anxiety. It was after partying a lot. Me and my friend back then, we drove around in, I think it was Fungirola. And then all of a sudden, I don't know, I thought I was going to get a heart attack. And I think that's the one common thing
Yep.
for anxiety is everybody thinks the same because it
Yep.
builds in the chest area.
Yeah.
And then we drove to the hospital and no, it wasn't that, thank God.
I always say that one day I will die for real because I will think, nah, it's just a panic attack. It's gonna be it's gonna be a real heart attack.
And then you choke
So
away. Choke.
yeah. So I want to explain that the reason we are talking about anxiety is because it's the I don't know the illness of the 21st century. Probably it existed before, of course, but probably wasn't that important, or less people had anxiety uh, back in the 1900s because situation wasn't that fucked up like nowadays. The generation of my parents, they had their own house, their own company, car, kids, and they were 25. So
I can only imagine.
we're almost 40.
One kid amongst us.
Yeah, we still live
I still rent because I'm an
renting.
idiot.
Yeah, you have a kid, but
Yeah, I'm trying to do
and now
better.
you have a girlfriend, but you're not married. I live with my girlfriend, but we're not married. I mean, situation is very different. The social media also um, is feeding our brains and everybody's brains with perfection, with a lot of bullshit.
We got it next. That's how you finesse.